All right, here we are with our finalists for Tornado Photo of the Year, a top 10. Just spectacular tornadoes across the board. Great photos. Maybe one of the strongest competitions we've had in years, or even since we started this. So good job, everybody. I guess it was a year of tornadoes. Amazingly, Holly was like a really big tornado, and we barely had any. I think one photo entered and nothing here. And I remember I had a couple of friends going, "Oh, Holly's going to dominate the photo contest this year," and Holly is not anywhere in the top 10. So we will get started talking about these tornadoes. This is, I mean, middle of the road. I glanced. I think this guy Isaac took this photo, and I'm only bringing up his name because I believe he either won or was in the top years ago with another tornado right down the middle of the road with just like sharp debris everywhere, and it was spectacular. So this person, obviously, you get really lucky with a tornado down the middle of the road. Does not happen very often. So really, really fun shot. And I used to have a Honda Element, and I was just noticing, I think that's a Honda Element in there. And my wife and I used to love our Honda Element. So dumb. But driving towards adventure, which is what those were for. So I really like this photo.
Yeah, speaking of debris, I love the one little shred of debris at the top of this. Like, I don't know why I love that so much.
Yeah.
Someone could think it might be distracting, but it's part of it. And I really love that the structure is so clean. And I think the photographer did a good job with the midtones in the tornado. We've got shadow, highlight, midtone. It's easy to overdo burning and dodging. And I respect the balance here very, very much. So nicely done.
Well, and I think it's really interesting because you bring this up. Like, this to me is debris, like the debris from the tornado that is the destruction is here. This is falling from the cloud, probably having been picked up earlier, is what I'm thinking. And I remember one of my very first tornadoes was Wynnewood, and I was a good distance from it, a mile or so, and it was moving, like I was southeast of it, so it was moving east northeast. And I'm standing there, and then grass and leaves are just falling all around me. And it was one of the most eerie, spooky like moments. And it was early for me. It was like the first really good tornado I saw. So I'd never experienced that before.
The sharpness is crazy on this one, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's shot from a moving vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's crisp, sharp.
And it looks like it's right there too. I see this dust down there.
So yeah.
Close. Yeah. Jeez.
Very close, right up there. Shot from a moving vehicle. Everything is sharp. Every detail is looking good. And yeah.
I wonder if it's a moving vehicle or if they pulled over and stood in the road for a second.
I don't know, because the car in front of them is moving, definitely. You can see it at the tires, and maybe I'm assuming they are moving.
It's super clear to have shot it through the windshield. So I don't know, but if it was, that's like brilliant. So and it's really interesting to me. We got a lot of shots to go through, but when you see that the tornado is right there, like a half mile away, you really learn that these tornadoes, they look like, when you're looking at this, you're like, oh, that's like a mile or so down the road. It's really big. Like, no, it's right there. And they're not necessarily like monster tall things. Like it's closer than it looks, is what I would think when I look at some of these. So speaking of close and debris, this one it's freaking right there. And I don't know. There's a lot of debris flying right around where this person is shooting this, and it's crazy.
That's very crazy. Shot at 21 millimeters. And if you zoom in, it's sharp as well. Imagine standing there in that kind of condition with the wind. It's so challenging to even get a sharp image out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is high contrast, high impact in so many ways.
Yep.
And there are some technical elements, but here's the thing also, when you're shooting tornadoes, not every part of the cloud and the tornado is going to be without those artifacts. You zoom way in, even to 30% on this, and we can see some coloring artifacts in the cloud, in the clouds, in the tornado. But like that's part of the gig. Like
Yep.
the clouds are not, they're not just a smooth surface with one color. Like, it's multi-dimensional. And so I think we want to always keep that in mind. Like, there has to be a little bit of grace in there. And that's where, having
Yeah.
your storm images judged by storm chasers is better than fine art photographers who don't understand what it's like to photograph a living, breathing storm and tornado. And also what Dennis was talking about, the challenge of being in that moment. I mean, oh my God, the adrenaline that's surging through your body, the way your hands shake out of excitement, that you can barely, you're in tunnel zone, but to think clearly enough to get your camera out and get your settings and nail the moment. There's a lot to be said for that. So that's what I think of when I see an image like this. So good job keeping it together, whoever you are.
Yeah, all that is it's so true. And I think that whole like having grace part is really important with these tornado photos, because it's not like you can walk up and go, oh, I'm going to set up a tripod at ISO 100, try to make sure I get my settings right and focus. Like, it's like, no, you are in a crazy windstorm. There's stuff flying around and you're probably ducking behind something not to get hit. You're up in your ISO just so you can get a fast enough shutter speed that it's not all blurry, because this thing is just moving so fast. And the debris is so frozen that this person did a great job freezing it with a good shutter speed and all that.
And even you have the time to set up a tripod and have the time to deal with your settings right. Yeah. It doesn't mean your shot is sharp.
Yeah.
Everybody who was on that San John, New Mexico storm a couple of years ago, okay, it was nighttime. Yes. Okay. But everybody who experienced this inflow knows how challenging it is to shoot a storm.
Oh,
it was crazy. So that is why I appreciate the sharpness on this one so much, because it must be a hell of a ride here.
Yep. Agreed. I think if I had anything to say about this one, I would maybe have cropped it in this much to get rid of this little pole on the left here. And then maybe that would have brought the tornado a little bit more center. But I mean, I don't really know what I'm talking about. So I think it looks great. So this one is another one perfectly. I think we saw this same tornado in the photojournalism category, where this one kind of got in the middle of the road to get a more balanced shot. Definitely like what we were talking about. This person obviously probably had no time for a tripod. If I was here, I would have no time for a tripod. It would be ISO 1600 to 2000 and trying to take a sharp shot and get it frozen as much as possible. And even here, I think you can see that there's motion here, and that's why this stuff isn't as sharp as like everything else is. And so whatever the shutter speed was is tough. But this is with the grain, it's going to be noisy, but that's what it's like shooting tornadoes, and I don't mind it at all.
No, me too. The grainy look to the tornado makes it even more aggressive, I think, in this case. And the grainy stuff is just in the tornado and not in the foreground. So right. I'm totally fine with it. So the only thing I don't like so much is the tiny spot of the road paint in the middle. Just this little spot.
Oh, right here at the bottom?
At the bottom, yeah. I'm sorry. Just this,
hey,
yeah.
You got to be nitpicky about something.
About something. Yes.
Mine would be that there's that I see the top of a car over here. And I would have just gotten rid of that so it didn't look like the very tip of the car was coming.
I didn't see this one.
I know. I didn't see what you saw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
but
eyes
this,
went right to the headlights, and there's another shiny thing at
Yeah.
the bottom of the tornado. So like all those little tiny ditty dippy dots can distract, especially when you have something so weighted and contrast heavy as this dark tornado. Anything that's light or in the foreground leading the eye could distract. So just watch that.
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as or bringing your crop up a little bit, even having to get rid of it. One thing I noticed that people are a little bit afraid to crop enough, and I do think you don't realize how much, like, if you were to crop this up, how much it brings you closer to the tornado. Like, it feels closer. And this is probably not a great crop. I think it's too much above it now, but a little bit of a crop can change so much. And but this is nitpicky stuff. This is a fantastic shot. So we are just goofing around right now.
I do appreciate it that the photographer stand in the middle of the road and not on the side of the road to get a good composition, and the road is leaning right into the twister. So yeah.
And you don't have to, and speaking of cropping quickly, you don't have to stay in your same ratio that you shot. So something like this could be really, maybe it would be interesting to pursue a panoramic shot, a crop, something that would be a little more of a cinematic, 16:9 or something like that. So play with your crops. You could do square crops. Those can have impact in your final, your final image as well.
Absolutely. All right, this one, I know we talked about this one in our selections, so we don't have to like go over, so much of it again, but this one just had so much intensity to it, and drama and action. Like, it's just in a still photograph, there's just so much there's so much motion and action conveyed in like a still, which to me is super fun for photographs because there's still images caught, and yet they can convey that kind of thing.
That's a good example for 16:9 crop.
Yes.
So it works, definitely.
Yep. All right, we'll go to this one. I know I think we briefly mentioned this one. Jennifer, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Oh, wow. I mean, talk about impact. And, we've mentioned the position and the camera lens and the way that it was composed. As far as the editing is concerned, I really like the contrast, and we have a lot of grain, but again, that's tornado land. That's what we have. The tractor right in front there, no grain there. It's not, it's not about the image settings. It's just about, that's what you're looking at when you're photographing dust being wafted into the air. So just the motion of this, I love the continued line of the light road up into the light tornado. It takes your eye on a very specific journey, and I want to just go up into the sky with Elphaba. So well done. Well done.
Did you say Elphaba?
I did. That might have been a Wicked reference. I'm sorry.
No, I know what it was. And my daughter would have been so happy. And I would not have known about it if it wasn't for her and the fact that we went to go see that. Really, really good. Really good movie. All right, we're going to go on to this one. We talked about this one a lot. And this one is just what we said. I think Jen used the word cinematic. That's just what I love this one. I love the green. I love the cinematicness to it. It's just gorgeous and sharp, and the light from the car and the rain off the road, it's really, really, the color palette is so pleasing to me, even though it's pretty green, but it just is so great. Dennis, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, the cinematic style to it, and it makes the picture, and the moment that the photographer waited exactly for the moment when the car is in the right spot.
Yes.
Too. So technically, in these conditions, top notch, in my opinion.
Yep.
So and the editing too, and we have very, very, very bright spots just left of the tornado, and it's not blown out. Everything is well balanced, and it's very challenging to get this right on your memory card. And yeah, it's very brilliant shot in my opinion. Yeah, and it's raining. At this point, yeah, well done. It's very, very difficult to get this right. So
no, it's tough. It's tough.
yeah.
All right. Just get jealous when I see this shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like the second time I looked at it that I really noticed the dust around the ground there. Like I was just so mesmerized by the rainbow and the white tornado. I didn't even see that it also has the nice dust debris ball around the bottom. And that's just great.
Another great example of a different crop.
Yes.
And again, the way that the tonal range is managed is just.
Yeah, no, I think it's like the tops of these clouds here you can see are kind of lit by the sun or just really bright, but they're not blown out, and the darkness is not super dark. It's really well managed. And in this situation, like the sharpness is incredible for the fact that you're probably in rain and it's windy and you are probably shaking from the fact that you're like, oh my gosh, like I am taking this shot and look at the back of the camera and you're like, okay, one of my favorite photos I've ever taken in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Just remarkable.
Incredible.
All right, we'll go to this one. I know we talked about this one a lot too in the last one. I do know that this one is just looks like it was probably captured while driving with like the way the motion is down here on the foreground. So just the fact that this was captured while driving is pretty it's pretty cool. I was messing with, the idea of like, well, what if we had done a crop where we just gotten completely no road, just this, and that looked really cool. But I also don't mind this idea of the road leading and the tornado going this way and we're chasing this thing. Sometimes motion from a car can really add to the like drama and stuff that's going on. So I really like this picture.
And even some repeating themes with the lines in the road, the line in the rainbow, the lines in the tornado. If you wanted to really emphasize that, you could have even cropped in from the left a bit.
Yeah, true.
If you wanted to. But I think there are all kinds of ways to frame this scene. And this one's one of my favorites.
And it's a double rainbow. So there's a little faint one in there. So, of course, not enough to have a beautiful wedge, big, thick, or stovepipe, and then be on the west side of it with great light, but then a double rainbow. Shining down on you that day, Mother Nature was. So, I don't think we really talked about this one, but this is just the fact that this one is sharp and in focus is insane to me because it is just right there.
Yeah, for folks at home who can't look at these full resolution images the way we can, and it doesn't quite show up on this rendering on this stream. It is razor sharp. It's amazing.
Yeah, the debris is not like it's got like it's frozen solid, like it's all crisp, which is crazy because that is just going nuts there. So
yeah, this perspective, almost under the bowl, you're under the whole updraft, like it's very immersive. This kind of light is really tough to manage too. We've all been in this situation where you're on the dark side and there's this blasting light. It might as well be nighttime to your back and it's bright daylight on the other backside. So I commend this photographer for, how they managed that as well in the post-processing.
Yeah, I honestly am impressed that it's not like you can still see in the distance that there is clouds and some kind of texture out there. So it's not completely blown out if it is at all. It's just that's the way it was. It was really bright. And the fact is that you can still make out this detail. And this is one of the more unique looking tornadoes I've ever seen with this like horizontal line in the funnel and like all these multi-vortices, like it's very unique looking. It's just a remarkable shot.
Do you think that a crop would have helped this image at all if we brought it in from the top and the left a bit?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, because then you wouldn't have so much dark. Yeah, see, and the thing about a crop is it brings you in closer sometimes for something like this, and that could help. Yeah,
just things to consider.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I urge everybody to always mess with cropping before you're, done, because or when you're starting, just to get an idea of different things. Even go, hey, I'll do a vertical one. What do I think of that? I'm gonna go 16:9 and like just see what you can lose. Where I don't need much on the left. The tornado is the star. I do like that it's I do think that there's a chance it's like rule of thirds. It's on the third line over here, so it's like on the third side of the frame. So that's also, it's pleasing, but I do know that if you crop it, you could bring it in a little more. So, all right, we'll go to this last one. I think Jennifer and I talked about this one. This one is also in the photo of the year, and so congrats for making it into tornado photo of the year as well. But Dennis, any thoughts on this one to wrap us up?
Yeah, we're at now a couple of very close range shots of the tornado, and if you love structure, superset structure, and the tornado combined, this is the shot you want. So composition-wise, maybe I would have cropped it a bit from the bottom, just a tiny bit. But overall, it's well balanced. We have bright spots in here. We have very dark spots in here. Nothing is too dark. Nothing is too bright. It's sharp. The tones are very great. So for me, it's bucket list shots, I would say.
Yes.
And maybe we talked about it earlier. Now I see it too. I still think it's a bit tilted on the
it's
right
kind of
side.
hard. It's kind of hard to tell.
I don't know exactly if it's true or not, but it feels now like it since you mentioned it. So, but that's just as in almost every picture, it's the small details. So, overall, well deserved to be in the final, in my opinion.
Well, congrats to our top 10. Well done. Like I said, I think one of the stronger fields of tornado photos we've had. And good luck to everyone. We will announce the winners next week.